Hi, my name's Susan Lord and I'm a curator here at Bury Art Museum and Sculpture Centre. In 2018, I curated an exhibition called Victoria Wood, using artefacts from the Victoria Wood archive, which is managed by her literary estate. With the Happy Festival just around the corner, we thought this would be a really nice opportunity to share the archive with you once again and to bring out things from the archive that really explore Victoria's creative processes and things that it really inspired her. So follow me and let's go into the archive. Victoria was born in 1953 at Hallé Maternity Hospital in Prestwich, and she spent the first 5 years of her life in a little terraced house on Tottington Road in Bury. The family then moved to Birtle Edge House on Castle Hill Road in Bury, and Victoria attended Fairfield County Primary School. And judging from her school report, she did really well. She was a very bright child, and she scored quite highly, 10s and 20s in all her tests. And it was during this period of time that her mother once took her and her sisters to Buxton Theatre to see a female comedian called Joyce Grenfell. And Victoria just loved the experience, and she just couldn't get over a woman being on stage on her own and just populating that stage with just her voice. And Victoria thought, even at that early age, I could do that. Victoria then went on to study at Bury Grammar School, and looking at through the archive, it becomes apparent that she was quite creative at a young age, and she appeared in a couple of school plays, one called Taming of the Shrew, and we've got some really nice photographs in the archive of her performing in the play. And she also wrote a couple of articles for the school magazine, and the magazine was called Cygnus. It's well documented that Victoria struggled a little bit whilst at Bury Grammar School, and she probably found herself to be a little fish in a big pond, and there were girls there that were brighter than her. So she devoted her time each evening in the house to really learning her craft at the piano, and she became really quite good. And we have in the archive her piano certificates and reports. In an interview she did with Clive James in 2007, she talked about how, as a child, she was obsessed by playing the piano. So her parents sent her to piano lessons. But she was so shy that her hands would sweat and slide off the keys, so she stopped going. She was ashamed she'd stopped going, so only played the piano at home in secret when her parents were out. In the summer of 1968, just before she went into Bury Grammar School sixth form, she was persuaded by one of her sisters to go to Rochdale Theatre Workshop, and she really enjoyed her time there. And we've got a really fabulous picture of her, and she's just seated bottom right looking up at a fellow actor called Bob Mason. And it was during her time at Rochdale Theatre Workshop that she really found her way in life and thought, you know, I'm really good at this. This is something I could do as a career. And from there, she was inspired to apply for university courses after completing Bury sixth form. From Bury Grammar School, she then went to Birmingham University to study drama. And we have in the archive some really fab pictures of her sat at her piano in her student digs. And we also have probably one of the first scripts she ever wrote. Unfortunately, we don't know the title because it's come away. In 1974, just after she left university, Victoria entered a talent show called New Faces, and we've got some fabulous photographs here in the archive of her performing in the show. She wrote a song called Fashion, which she won that heat with, and then she got through to the second heat, and she wrote a song called Lorraine that she performed at the piano, but unfortunately she didn't win that heat, so she never made the grand final. And the person that did win it was a lady called Marty Kane, quite a well-known comedian back then. And here in the archive we've got some really great photographs of Marty and a very young Lenny Henry, aged 16, who was also in the show. But she was deemed talented enough to come back for the summer show in 1975, and we've got photographs of her performing in that show. In 1976, Victoria had another big break, and she was invited to perform each week on a show called That's Life. And she had to perform topical songs each week, which is quite a tall order. So the way she did it was a real lateral thinking technique. So she'd take a notebook like this, and on one side she'd list the alphabet, A to Z, and then after each letter she'd then write a word, and then she'd start connecting the unconnected. So words became sentences, and then a really original ideas would come from that. So each week she had an original song about a topical issue. In 1978, she wrote and performed sketches in a revue show called In at the Death, which was at the Bush Theatre in London. And she said of that show that it was the first time that she really felt that she'd written something that got a laugh, and she was really finding her creative voice. What becomes apparent from looking through the archive is the sheer amount of hard work that Victoria put into her career. In 1978, she wrote a play called Talent, which was performed at the Crucible Theatre in Sheffield. And at one of the performances, a man was in the audience called Peter Ecclesay, who at the time was the head of drama for Granada. And watching the play, he thought, we've got a real great talent here. So he approached Victoria, and he ended up buying the rights to the play and turned it into a TV programme. And here in the archive, we've got photographs of the programme, and it stars alongside Victoria a very young Julie Walters. In 1981, encouraged by Peter Ecclesay, Victoria went on to write a comedy sketch show for TV called Wood and Walters, which starred Victoria and Julie Walters. And here we have some scripts from the show and some original photographs. In 1985, her career really took off when her comedy sketch show, As Seen on TV, was televised, and it features many favourite sketches such as Kitty monologues, the bus stop sketch, the waitress sketch and the trolley sketch. And here we have some of the shooting scripts and the actual sketches from the show. Her comedy was really relatable in the fact that she always wrote sketches in everyday places such as shoe shops and cafes and restaurants, and this is what I suppose made people connect with her. So within 10 years, Victoria's career went from performing on a talent show to writing one of the best-loved comedies of all time. And that brings us to the end of part 1 of the Victoria Wood Archive Tour. So join us for part 2, where we explore her career from the 1990s onwards.